Hey guys, MCU Collector here with the new video. Earlier today you saw my unboxing video, or you may have seen my unboxing video. So here is the review for the Marvel 80th Anniversary Marvel Legends Thor Ragnarok 2-pack of the Grandmaster and Korg. So this has arrived today. Now before everyone gets into the questions of where, how did you get it, who did you get it from, where did you get it from, where can I order, all this and that, please understand that I'm not going to be able to respond to all those questions. I'm just not going to be able to. If you guys watch the video, you will hear me say this. Local shops will be receiving them soon, if not already. I know somebody, when they first showed up, somebody had bought one from Frank & Son. So local shops are getting these. Pre-orders have not even gone up yet on any site, so you will not be able to find them on Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, Hasbro Pulse, any of those sites yet. They will. I don't know when. Official release date, I'm assuming, is going to be, probably around August 1st. Now, I did get a case. The case does not actually mention anything about a street date on the case itself, so who knows exactly when that's going to be. But local shops will be getting these now. Of course, you can go on eBay and pay, but you're probably going to have to pay higher prices. Amazon third-party sellers as well. So there is the information, guys. So again, not in any retail store yet, not even online yet, but local shops will be getting these if your local shop is lucky enough to be one of the ones to actually get this early. Anyway, we'll get right to it. So Grandmaster Korg looking awesome. We have the Thor Ragnarok logo in the front. So it's very similar to the Marvel Studios, the first 10 years Marvel Legends line from last year. It's very similar to that. The box is going to be about the same size, but there are some differences. There's no connecting side work on the side of the package. Instead, here we get a look at Korg, which looks really awesome from the movie. And then here we see Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster on the side. That is pretty cool. Up at the top, we get that Marvel logo that we had seen with the 80 lines as well. Here on the back of the package, we get the look at the movie poster, and then bios for each of these, and I'll go over that in a second. But first, here's the UPC. I have no idea what good this will do for you guys, but maybe you could take that to Walmart or Target and have them scan it and see if that's a possibility that they're even going to get it or anything. Let's take a look at those bios. The Grandmaster, the ancient and tyrannical ruler of Sakaar, enjoys gaming, gambling, and manipulation. He runs the contest of champions, pitting warriors from across the galaxy against each other in a fight to the death. Korg. A Cronin warrior on the planet Sakaar, Korg is forced to compete in the contest of champions when he meets fellow warrior Thor. He allies with the Asgardian to escape Sakaar and defeat Hela. So pretty interesting. Boom. Let's get right to it. Alright, so here are the Grandmaster and Korg out of the package. And first impressions, I'm pleased with these figures. Korg, slightly disappointed. I'll talk about that when I get into the figure first. Grandmaster is actually pretty awesome. Accessories-wise, very disappointing in both of the accessories. So I'm at least glad they came with something. But Hasbro definitely could have executed better on these weapons that they came with. So first off, let's look at the Grandmaster, then we will look at the Korg, and then I'll do some size comparisons with Korg, because I'm sure everybody's curious on, how does he measure up to Thor? How does he measure up to Hulk? How does he measure up to Meek? Oh, we didn't get a Meek. How perfect and missed opportunity was it for Hasbro to not give us a Meek figure? It didn't even need to be. Excuse me, it didn't even need to be the Meek battle armor suit. It could have just been little bug Meek that Korg could be holding thinking he's dead, like at the end of the movie. That would have been awesome. I know everybody wants that. Hasbro didn't do it. I think it was a missed opportunity by them. Little disappointing, but at least we got Korg. We're getting, even more characters from these movies. Scourge and Hela 2-pack is coming later this year, so I'm still happy. So we'll get right to it. Let's take a look at Grandmaster first. Okay, so here is the Grandmaster figure. So this figure has a lot of new parts. The legs are the same legs as the new young Nick Fury from the Captain Marvel wave. The same exact legs. It is not the same legs from the Coulson figure or the Bruce Banner figure or the Tony Stark figure at that. The legs are the new Nick Fury. Everything else about this should be new. The hands might have been reused. I'm not really sure. So very interesting. Now, one thing that was kind of big at the time in the MCU shelf, he had mentioned this before. He said, isn't it weird that we're getting a 2-pack of 2 new characters and everything? And we know that that's something that Hasbro doesn't do. If they're doing a 2-pack, one of them is some kind of repaint or reissue. But nonetheless, it seemed like it was going. And then Comic-Con exclusive gets announced, and it's the collector and the Grandmaster, and of course it's like, okay, boom, that's how we have the Grandmaster. So this one is the reissue, or I guess technically the Comic-Con one would be the reissue. So either way, we do have a 2-pack where one of the figures is getting released again, although that one has a different head sculpt. But this Jeff Goldblum head sculpt is fantastic, and I'll get closer there soon. First, I want to talk about this accessory. So this is the I forget what he calls it, but this is the goo stick, right, that turns people into goo that he uses on his cousin. The Comic-Con exclusive comes with this, and then it comes with his goo, so it's like a bonus figure of his cousin, even though it's just a pile of goo. So this thing is just pretty generic. There's not a lot of sculpt. It's very thin, so it's very pliable. So it's, you could see it's already a little warped. So depending on how you have him holding it, it will over time start to really bend down and warp down. There's no paint to it. It's done in a goldish plastic color, although the only paint is right here painted on the ball, and they gave it a nice metallic gold. So that itself looks good, but the accessory itself is pretty cheap. And then you could see right here there's a small little defect, if it'll zoom in. Kind of like the Thor hammer that came with Worthy Cap. It's just a little piece where you could tell that, you know, they were stuck together or whatever, and they had to remove them, the stencil or whatever for the multiple. So it is what it is. So nothing great. It's just there. I mean, at least it comes with something, but it's pretty generic looking. First, let's go over the articulation, and then we will go over, we'll take a closer look at the figure and everything. So as far as the head, he can look all the way down, way too far down even, and he can look up. The jacket gets in the way a little bit, but he could still get him to look up quite a bit. There's a little bit of pivot in there, and of course side-to-side motion there. You can get the arm to go all the way up on that side, and you can get the arm to go all the way up on this side. They are two very different arms, so I'll talk about that here in a minute. There's no swivel or anything there, but it's a single jointed elbow, so you actually get a swivel at the elbow, much like female figures, and you're going to get that much of a bend. So it's not even quite 90 degrees in there, not a whole lot at all. Wrist swivels, and it hinges. Mine, you got to kind of work it in a little bit, so that's pretty good there. On the right arm, you get an upper bicep swivel there. Double jointed elbow, which works out really well. Wrist swivels, and it hinges as well. You can open up the jacket and you get better articulation this way. And I'll talk about the torso and everything as we take a closer look. So you can get the legs to go up that far apart, which is great. There's an upper thigh cut there. Double jointed knee, which works out really good. There's no boot swivel, but the ankle piece that's inside there, that's different from like the Nick Fury figure, although it might be, yeah, it's different from the Nick Fury one, even though there's a black ball joint in there for the foot. So you can actually get a swivel there. You can get a nice little hinge to it as well, because it brings it much further down the pant leg, which is nice, and then you would get a nice little ankle pivot, and the feet look good. As you get closer up, I'll show you that. So the torso is on a weird like diaphragm joint that's like tucked in there, so you can get him to crunch down that much. Going back, you're not really going to get a whole lot because the jacket is really just going to get in the way of that. So you can get some side pivot in there as well, and going the other way. So that's pretty good as far as the motion, and then you can also twist them kind of to the side like so. There's no waist swivel on this guy. It's kind of funky, but we're going to get in closer look now so you can see the texture of the jacket, and then I'm going to show you that torso and why I think it's really, really weird looking. Okay, so getting up close, you can see the Jeff Goldblum head sculpt, and I think it looks really, really, really good. It definitely looks like Jeff Goldblum. Now, he's doing a lot of smiles in the movie and kind of being, humorous and everything. So the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive will have a smiling head sculpt, whereas this one he has kind of that more serious face. The hair looks good. It's done with a gray, and there's a nice little whitewash in there to kind of show off some texture. Yeah, see that? Man, that really looks like Jeff Goldblum from the side there. Paint apps, the digital print, in my opinion, looks pretty good. We get that blue line painted on there as well. Nice little touch. We get blue fingernail polish on his fingers. And then for his toes, he has a little bit of toenail polish. One thing that I like about these, these flip-flops, these sandals, I think the sculpt of it came out great. It's usually like when they do bare feet, the feet look all fat and like big. these feet came out looking pretty good. And then you can actually see a little overhang of the sandal is a little bit bigger than the foot, so they didn't just sculpt it all together. Definitely looks like a foot wearing sandal, so good job on Hasbro on that. You know, it's those little things that really kind of stand out to me. And then they're just done with some gold, and then you get the skin tone in there, and that looks pretty good. Now, I don't know how well it's coming out on camera, but you can see that there's some texturing throughout the whole jacket, and that looks pretty good. And you get the same texture in the arm, and then the jacket kind of comes out, and that helps to get him to stand blue on the inside. So I like that they kind of flared it out like this. You know, Corvus Glaive is a little bit, but not quite as much. I like it when it's done perfectly like this and becomes flat, because it really does help him stand up. Not that it's a real big problem, because this, you know, with these legs and feet, it's not really an issue, but it's there. You know, he's got a blue shirt, textured gauntlet piece here that kind of wraps around his bracelet so it doesn't go all the way around. That looks pretty good. Now the jacket, yes, you would be able to remove it. I'm not going to remove mine, but you can see it just kind of ports in right there. Half of it is blue underneath. You get these red little belt pieces that hang down, and then a very skinny, weird looking torso. So he's wearing a blue shirt with a little bit of red. You get skin tone on his neck. In my opinion, the neck is a little too big for his head. I don't think the head looks too big. I think the head is a good size. Just the neck is a little too wide. But the diaphragm is really, 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 really weird. This red sash piece is actually kind of a rubbery piece. It doesn't move. It's not removable or anything, but it can bend in a little bit with that. So when you want to crunch him down and stuff, it's just a very skinny looking torso. Now I know Jeff Goldblum's a very skinny man. It just looks really weird, in my opinion. But yeah, there is the Grandmaster. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of him. Now let's move on to Korg. Okay, so here's Korg out of the package. You know what? From far away, he looks awesome. He's going to look great in anyone's collection. But you can tell that Hasbro took some shortcuts with the figure in a way. Some of it's going to be accurate and everything, but just size-wise, bulkiness, I think he should be a little bit bigger, although I know he wasn't giant or huge in the movie or anything. But there's a couple of things that just kind of seem a little weird to me and kind of out of place. But just my opinion on it, and we'll go over it. So first off, let's look at this weapon piece that he comes with. So I had mentioned earlier that the weapons were a little disappointing. And the reason why is just because of paint apps and overall how they look. This is a very dull gray plastic on this weapon. I would have liked some kind of other color. You know, just the cheap gray just ruins it for me. You know, if it was kind of a metal piece that he uses to beat people up with, give it a nice metal look and make it look like metal, not just some cheap little gray piece. And then the rest of the handle is gold, and the sculpt of it is actually pretty good, and the gold looks good. It's just this gray part that I'm not really happy with, and again, it's pretty flimsy as well, so careful how he's going to hold it, because over time it will start to bow. So be careful with that. Okay, Korg, let's first go over the articulation of Korg. So you can get him to look down somewhat. You can get him to look up a little bit, but you kind of really have to work that neck joint in there. You get some pivot in there, side-to-side motion and swivel in his head. You can get this arm to go up only that high, so not a whole lot. You can get this arm to go up a little bit as well, but you got this shoulder armor piece that's going to get in the way, but you do get a full rotation in there. There is an upper bicep swivel in there as well. You get a nice double jointed elbow, which is awesome on this arm. You get a nice double jointed elbow on this arm as well as that upper bicep swivel. The wrist, you get a nice swivel there, and you get a hinge. And you can see he has an open hand for his left hand, and he has a holding hand for his right hand. There is a diaphragm joint on there, so you can actually get a swivel at that upper diaphragm joint, and you get pivot to the side going that way. Pivot to the side going that way, but you kind of have to really work it a little bit. Going down, you can get him to bend down that much. Going back, you can get them to go back that much, so fairly decent amount of movement in there. You also get a waist swivel in there as well. There's no pivot or anything there. The legs you can get out to go out very far apart, so this, you know, skirt piece or whatever it is doesn't really get in the way. There's an upper thigh cut there. You get a double jointed knee, which I don't know if that's the greatest looking knee joint, right? That's kind of flat and weird looking, but double jointed knee, so that's pretty cool. There's no boot cut or anything. You get a foot that hinges down, foot that hinges up only slightly, because you can see the shin guard gets in the way a little bit, and you get a nice ankle pivot in there. So pretty good articulation. Now let's take a closer look at him. Okay, here is Korg up close, and you can see they actually put a little bit of light gray wash into him. Now the actual base plastic is kind of a bluish gray, so to give it kind of a little bit more of that textured look along with the sculpt, that's where you get that kind of that light gray wash in there. And it's not done throughout the figure, it's mainly done kind of in the front of the figure. You're really not getting any of that wash in the back of the figure. But the face, I think, looks pretty good. You know, we get the Taika Waititi, the director, his kind of facial expression looking kind of funny, so it's pretty nice there. There's not a whole lot as far as the digital print, because really you're just getting the eyes and a little bit of area around the mouth, so not a whole lot going there. But the sculpted details of it is really good to see all the rockiness throughout his body and everything. But again, it's not a whole lot to it, because you're getting the arms, the head, this upper torso piece, very little of the bottom torso. I mean, very, very little of the bottom torso, because they have this big padded armor kind of that goes across. I don't know if it went up that high on him in the movie, but you know, that in my opinion it just kind of takes away from it. You get this skirt armor piece that kind of sits on there, and it doesn't get in the way of the leg articulation or of the swivel or anything, and you know, you can kind of move it around. There's no clip to unclip it, so you would just have to warm it up and like physically try and pull it down if you wanted to. He's wearing these shorts, which are just done kind of in a cheap brown looking color there, not a whole lot. I don't know or remember if it really went all the way down to his knee, but again, I think they're kind of getting away from being able to do some sculpted rockiness to it. So that kind of takes away, and then it kind of looks funny, like that's a thick pant to come out and look that far away from where his body would be. And then we get a little bit of rocks for the legs. We get these nice shin guards looking really good there. No painted buckles or anything, but they're all on there. And then we get some nice painted feet with 4 toes, and we get that wash in there as well. And I didn't notice that he's also got 4 fingers, right? So looks pretty good. We get a little bit of red war paint kind of throughout, you know, the same that kind of Hulk had as well, and I'll show a size comparison pretty soon. We get a little band there. So again, looks really good. I'm a little disappointed that, you know, they didn't do more rockiness to the actual figure itself. It's covered up with a lot of the armor that he was wearing. Maybe it's just me. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of that. Now let's look at some size comparisons. And of course, first size comparison here, you see Korg next to Thor, and you can see there's a pretty good size difference there between the two of them. Next, here he is next to Valkyrie. You can see a really good size comparison between them as well. And here he is next to Hulk, and Hulk just absolutely towers over him. Huge size difference between the two, not even close at all. I mean, look at the size difference between these two guys. That's crazy. You know, even when you take Hulk's helmet off, it's just, I mean, look, I can't even get Hulk's face in frame. Yeah, so huge size difference between the two. Now I know Korg really was on the kind of the smaller side in the movie, but I don't know if it was this big of a size difference between the two. It seems a little crazy to me, but it's what it is. That's Korg. And next up, just for the fun of it, here we have Korg next to the Thing. Now, obviously, the Thing is not a Cronin, but they do have the same kind of rocky structure, and I believe they fought sometimes in the comics. If you guys know more about that, let me know down in the comments below. But you could see that there is a big difference between the two. I think more, and so in comic, they were similar in color. Obviously, a very different color for the MCU movie version. He has a lot of jagged rocks on Korg compared to Thing, where a lot of smooth rocks. So just kind of a big difference there, but I thought it was kind of fun to kind of show the little quick little size comparison between the two. Okay, so there is my review of the Marvel 80th Anniversary Marvel Legends Thor Ragnarok, the Grandmaster and Korg 2-pack. So again, if you skip through all of it and what I said at the beginning, these are showing up at local comic shops. You'll find them on eBay and through Amazon third-party sellers. Retails for $50, but I'm telling you, because it's early and pre-orders haven't even gone up yet, you're going to have to pay a higher cost if you want to get it now. That's up to you guys, but you guys let me know what you guys think of these figures. Will you be picking them up? Are you guys passing? Also, let me know what you guys think of the video. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, guys, thank you for watching.